If you carry me up the stairs, I'll tell you a secret," whispered the frail little girl, her voice barely rising above the sound of the rain hammering against the mechanic's old garage roof. The words caught him off guard. He looked down at her skin-paled, hair tangled, legs too weak to carry her own small body. For a man who spent his life fixing broken engines, broken gears, and rusty bolts, he had no idea how to mend something as fragile as this child. But there was something in her eyes, something that pulled him in, like a secret calling out to be discovered. The mechanic, John, wasn't the type people usually noticed. He was rugged, quiet, and spent most of his days covered in grease, with his evenings swallowed by silence. His garage sat at the edge of town, next to a crumbling staircase that led up to an abandoned apartment where no one dared to live. He wasn't sure why the girl was there, soaked to the bone, clutching a worn-out teddy bear. But when she made her strange request, something stirred in him, something protective, something he hadn't felt in years. He crouched down slowly, testing her words. "Up the stairs, that's all?" he asked, half expecting her to change her mind. But she nodded firmly, her lips trembling not from fear, but from the cold. He sighed, shook his head, then wiped his greasy hands on his old rag. Against every voice in his head warning him to stay out of trouble, he scooped her up in his arms. She was feather-light, like carrying a handful of air, yet she clung to him as though she hadn't been held in years. The staircase creaked under his boots as he climbed. Each step felt heavier than the last, as though the girl's secret weighed more than her frail body. When they reached the top, the door to the old apartment groaned open. Inside was nothing but dust, shadows, and broken furniture. Yet, the girl smiled faintly. "This is where I used to live," she whispered, pointing to a corner where the faded wallpaper peeled away. "Before Mama got sick, before everything changed." John's chest tightened. He didn't know this girl, but her words pierced through him. He had lost someone once, to his wife, years ago, to a sickness he couldn't fight. Since then, he had buried his heart under layers of work, fixing machines instead of people, avoiding connections that might reopen old wounds. But here, in this forgotten place, a child had asked him for something no one else had in years: his strength, his time, his care. He set her gently on the old couch, brushing dust away with his sleeve. "You said you had a secret," he murmured, his voice softer now. The girl hugged her teddy closer, her eyes glistening. "The secret is a broken bar." She paused, taking a shaky breath. "A broken bar. I know where the music box is. The one Mama said would keep her safe. If I can find it, I can bring her back. Not her body, but her smile, her love. It's hidden here, and I can't reach it alone." John stared at her, torn between disbelief and something far deeper: hope. Children had a way of believing in things adults had long abandoned. He could have dismissed her words as imagination, but instead, he found himself searching the broken room with her, turning over cracked drawers, peeling back old rugs, prying open cabinets. And then, in the hollow of the wall, behind the loose board, they found it, a tiny, rusted music box, its paint chipped, its key missing. The girl's eyes lit up as she held it close. "Play it," she begged. John's hands trembled as he tried to wind it. At first, nothing happened, but after a few twists, the gears caught, and a faint, delicate melody filled the air. The sound was hauntingly beautiful, echoing through the abandoned apartment like a memory come alive. The girl closed her eyes, tears streaming down her cheeks. "That's Mama's song," she whispered. "She used to hum it every night. I kept it in my heart. I knew it would bring her back." For John, the music was more than a lullaby. It was a bridge between past and present, between his loss and hers. He felt his own heart crack open in ways he thought it never would again. He sat beside her, letting the melody wash over them both. And in that moment, something invisible shifted. Grief gave way to connection, despair to the faintest spark of healing. Days turned into weeks after that night. John couldn't let the girl return to the cold streets, not when she had nowhere else to go. He made space for her in his garage, fixing up an old cot, cooking her simple meals, walking her to school when her health allowed. In return, she brought color into his world, sketching flowers on scrap paper, humming the music box tune while he worked, filling the silence he had once thought permanent. But challenges came too. The girl's illness was real and worsening. Doctor visits revealed she needed treatment John could barely afford. He worked longer hours, took on every job he could, and when that wasn't enough, he swallowed his pride and asked for help from neighbors who had once seen him as nothing more than a lonely recluse. Slowly, the town rallied around them. They saw not just a mechanic, but a man who carried a broken child up the stairs and refused to put her down. The secret she shared that rainy night had become something far bigger. It wasn't just about the music, folks, it was about carrying each other through pain, through sickness, through loneliness. And though John knew life would never be easy, he also knew one thing with certainty: he was no longer alone. The final scene comes full circle. The little girl, stronger now, stood at the bottom of the staircase one evening. She looked up at John and smiled, her voice steadier than before. "If you carry me up the stairs this time, I'll tell you another secret." He raised a brow, pretending to groan at the request, but his heart was already soaring. He lifted her once more, climbing step by step, the music of hope following them into the night. And as they reached the top, she whispered in his ear, "The secret is a broken bar. You fixed more than cars. You fixed me."